all the more dramatic.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
All right, with that being said, that's basically going to wrap up our plot summary. Now we're going to get into our superlatives. We're going to go through like our best. We might even have some worse. I wouldn't really call them worse with this movie because I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. This is personally my favorite Marvel Universe movie. But we might go into just stuff that we thought can be improved upon once we get into Endgame. So, Brandon, I'm going to ask you first off, who was your favorite character from this movie?
Oh wow. My favorite character from the movie. Um, that's a tough one. I mean, a lot of people might say Thanos because it was really he got a lot of screen time. The movie was really, about him. I don't know if I want to go that easy. I think I'm gonna say Thor.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Thor really came
Yeah.
into his own this movie and kind of
Hmm.
showed out as the most powerful. I'm going to go with Doctor Strange because before this movie, I enjoyed Doctor Strange for what it was. I wasn't all convinced that he was going to be a great hero or whatnot, but he was kind of no bullshit, just straight to the point. When it comes to you or the kid or the time stone, like I'm protecting the time stone. And just to see his evolution over the course of this movie and just the fact that he's not besting Thanos, but he can just stand up to him. I thought that was very impressive, and I thoroughly enjoyed his portrayal throughout the movie. Another superlative we're going to get into is best scene. Do you have a best scene from this movie?
Well, I think it's either got to be Thor, coming down in Wakanda, or like I said, Captain America's first appearance in the film. It's got to be one of those two. And those are just the two biggest fist pumps of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with those, but I'm going to take a bit of a dark horse. My favorite scene is when Thor is talking to Rocket about right before they're going to Nidavellir to get the new hammer, and he's kind of going through everyone he's lost, and it really built up my sympathy for Thor, this godlike character who's been around for over 1,000 years, and he says I'm only alive because fate wills it so. And Rocket goes, and if you're wrong, and he goes, well, what more can I lose? And that just broke my heart. You see him wipe away a tear real quick. We don't really see a ton of emotion from Thor, but that scene, I revisit that scene, and it really just builds up that emotion for Thor, and it really builds up sympathy for me with him as a character. So I really enjoy that scene.
Yeah, and that's when Rocket says, "Well, I could lose a lot."
Yeah, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I could lose a lot, and then he gives him the eye as well, and then
Yeah,
you get that kind of shudder line when he's like, "Oh, don't you might want to watch that first. The only way I could sneak it out was," and then he gets cut off, and
yeah.
we can only imagine. Best character pairing. I think a lot of people will say Tony and Doctor Strange. I'm gonna go with Rocket and Thor for the scene I just mentioned. I really enjoyed how their dynamic and just the way he refers to him as "oh sweet rabbit," and I enjoyed their banter throughout and their dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, Rocket and Thor is fantastic. I mean, when Thor makes his appearance on Wakanda, Rocket is standing on his shoulder, and who would have ever thought we would see that in a million years? I don't think I could top that one. That's the same for me.
Awesome. And then okay, possible issues with the movie. Is there too much going on? Were there some weak subplots? For me, I personally didn't find that there was too much going on. I thought there was a great balance of showing the importance of the arcs. A lot of people will say Thor going to Nidavellir to get the hammer kind of dragged a bit. I thought at points it did, but you understand why because you need that payoff that this is a weapon that can actually defeat Thanos. So that's the one I would go with if I had to pick one, but I don't necessarily have a weak subplot from this movie.
Yeah, I can't really pick anything weak out of the movie. It's not a conventional movie like we're used to, which is why some people might argue, well, it's not a complete movie, which it is. It's a complete movie, but most stories have like a rising action, a climax, and then a falling action, and it seems like this movie just climaxes and then ends, and
Yeah,
it's just a little unconventional, but I think it works, and I can't really pick any particular element or subplot from the film that really hinders it all too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, our final superlative here, I title it Like a Fine Wine, and that's due to its rewatchability. Is this movie, I mean, I feel like we've both kind of alluded to it throughout, but this movie, better with rewatchability, stays the same, or is it just fun to revisit regardless?
I mean, I think it's just fun to revisit regardless. To me, like, nothing will top that first experience of seeing the movie because, like, we keep going back to, that fist pump moment of Thor on Wakanda. I mean, that moment is amazing and badass every single time, but it's never going to be like the first time that you saw it.
Yeah. I would say I agree. It's fun to revisit. I just do appreciate individual moments more. That Rocket Thor scene I didn't really appreciate till I had watched it a few times because, at least with my first viewing, you're kind of focused on the plot and you're focused on the action set pieces. Some of the more individual character moments I learned to appreciate with repeat viewings. And I also just noticed a little bit more. One little plot hole I thought happened was when Cull Obsidian gets transported to like the Arctic and loses his hand. I wondered how he came back because I don't remember them ever rescuing him. But he does come back with a robotic hand. So I guess that was addressed, and I caught that. I caught that error, and then I saw the solution, both with repeat viewing. So this movie, I would say, is definitely a very fun movie to revisit. And I do agree that it doesn't necessarily, you won't top that first viewing experience. You learn to appreciate everything the Russo brothers did with this movie. With that being said, we are going to now go on towards looking towards Endgame. Now, I alluded to a fan theory I heard earlier about how Captain America died in that moment when he was punched by Thanos. Do you have any favorite fan theories going into Endgame that you want to see on the big screen, or just a theory you enjoyed in general?
So I mean, I guess a theory that I've kind of come up with, and I think a lot of other people have had, is um, what's the deal with Ant-Man and the quantum realm? When we see him at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, he's in the quantum realm when the snap happens, and I think the fact that he was in the quantum realm is what saved him from the snap, because as they've stated numerous times, the laws of time and space work differently in the quantum realm, so the time and space stone wouldn't really have an effect on him there. And he probably, my theory is that he probably gets sucked into some sort of a time vortex, and then like ends up like maybe like a few weeks in the past or something, which is why, like, if you see the trailer, they think that video of him is a recording at the Avengers headquarters, and that's how they then realize, like, oh, maybe we could time travel, and that's how we could defeat Thanos. So that's my theory personally.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. I would love to see them delve into that aspect, and I think we are going to get a lot of quantum realm stuff. My favorite theory, I don't think it's going to pay off, but the theory that Bruce Banner is actually Loki in disguise, and that's why he can't Hulk out, and that's why he actually loses to Thanos, because Loki doesn't know how to like power the Hulk as well as Bruce Banner. I think there are some flaws with this theory, but I just do love all the layers to it of Loki being like, oh, well, I need to be Bruce Banner on Earth because there's no way the Avengers would trust me. And the whole reason why he can't Hulk out and all that stuff. So I don't think that theory is going to actually pay off. But a lot of people came up with, oh, he's holding the blade that he goes to attack Thanos in his non-dominant hand. And that's why it's not that Loki is a fake Loki. And then the real Loki is Bruce Banner. I think it's very layered and very kind of not not very conventional, but I would love to see that theory explored. I think we'll see Loki in different time eras in this movie. Whether we see him in the present day as Bruce Banner, that remains to be seen. My final question for you about Endgame is, just in general, what are you looking forward to most?
I think I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Ant-Man back with the Avengers and seeing what he could bring to the table. He's one of my favorite characters in the MCU. He might just be my favorite Avenger, just because he's like, it's just quirky and funny, and he's like kind of secretly one of the most intelligent guys in the room. People often, this dude has a master's degree in electrical engineering. He's no dummy. So I'm looking forward to that. I think him and Captain Marvel are going to be the two most contributing factors to defeating Thanos. So I'm just looking forward to that. And, of course, seeing Captain Marvel be with the team also. I loved Captain Marvel, so I can't wait to see more of that character.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ant-Man, as I definitely agree. Paul Rudd is just one of my favorite actors, and his charm, I think, is a very unique aspect of the Marvel Universe, and I'm excited to see him interact with, your Tony Starks more. We only got like a brief scene with them in Civil War. I'm very looking forward to Hawkeye, because it seems like he's going to have a very fun arc in this movie, kind of go more into his character, and it breaks my heart, but I do believe this is Captain America's swan song, so I'm just going to enjoy every moment of screen time we have with him, because we don't know how much time we have left with him. And yeah, Chris Evans has brought a lot to the Marvel Universe. He's one of my favorite characters, and so I'm just very excited to see just that layer of Captain America that we've all come to know and love. The nobleness, the hero, the do-good patriot. I'm excited to see him kind of be at peak Captain America throughout this movie, and obviously get more screen time, because I think his screen time in Infinity War was only around 10-ish minutes. So excited for him to become a main player. All right, with that being said, we're now going to roll credits. All right, Brandon, thank you so much for joining me on today's show. Is there anything you want to plug, anything you're doing in the future?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BrandonHanna07, and you can find me at my YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/BrandonHanna. I do a show on there called Film Physics, which has since been featured as a segment on an episode of Action Movie Anatomy. So definitely go and check that out. Go on Popcorn Talk. If you're not following action industries, go ahead and do it. That's where you're going to find me. So.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at Liam T. Crowley and on Instagram at LiamCrowley714. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Spreaker. It helps the show out. And like I've been saying, we are going to do a Blu-ray giveaway when we hit 1,000 downloads. We are just under there. We got about 20 more to go. So hopefully, Brandon, your appearance on this podcast can spike those downloads up, because I know the people love to hear all your thoughts about Marvel and anything comic books. With that being said, if you don't have anything else left to say, thank you so much for joining me. This was a blast talking Avengers.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I don't think I have all that many fans, but hopefully I can get a few more people to listen and get you to 1,000, so somebody can win that Blu-ray.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us on today's show. Endgame is Friday. Make sure you get your tickets, or at least try to get your tickets if they open up more show times, because it seems to be sold out everywhere. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you on Wednesday with a news episode. And with that being said, we will see you soon.